Let's install Android Studio on Ubuntu 22.04. First, let's open the web browser, and I'm going to head over to developer.android.com. Here, I'm going to choose Download Android Studio. And the website recognized that we are using Linux, so the link that was generated is Download Android Studio for Linux. So let's go ahead and download Android Studio. We need to accept the terms and conditions, so let's scroll down to the end. And here I'm going to check the box and download Android Studio for Linux. Great, so Android Studio is being downloaded. It's quite a big file, over 900 megabytes, so it will take a few minutes. Great, so Android Studio was downloaded. Let's open the Downloads folder. And we can see it over here, Android Studio for Linux. Let's now open this folder, the Downloads folder, in the terminal. And first, let's update our system. Great, so we are up to date. Let's now list the files in the Downloads folder. And of course, we only have here one file, the Android Studio installation file we just downloaded. The thing is that this file is a tar archive. So to extract it, we're going to use the tar command. So tar -xf, and then the name of the Android Studio file. And the file is being extracted. It will take a minute or so. Great, and it's done. And if we now take a look at the File Explorer, we can see that in addition to the Android Studio tar archive, we also have the folder. And that's where the file was extracted to. You can leave this folder here, it's completely okay, but what I'm going to do is move it to my home folder. Great, let's open this folder. And as you can see, there are all kinds of files and folders in this folder. Among them, we have the bin folder, which is the binaries folder. And here we have this file, studio.sh. This is the installation script. And this is what we're going to run to install Android Studio on the computer. So let's change to this directory in the terminal. And let's list the files here. And here you can see the studio.sh file. Let's run this file. Now we can import Android Studio settings if we have such settings, but I don't have any such settings, so I don't have anything to import, so I'll go with the second option and click on OK. We can help the development of Android Studio by sending usage statistics, but of course it's not mandatory and you don't have to do it. You can just click on Don't Send. It's completely up to you. Great, and we finally see the setup wizard. Let's click on Next. And you can either go with the standard setup or custom setup. I think that for most people, the standard setup should work well, and that's what I'm going to go with. And we need to choose a theme. We can either go with light or dark. I'll go with dark, as it's the default option. And here's what's going to be installed. There isn't too much to do here, so I'll just click on Next. And here, there are two license agreements that we need to approve. So this is the first one, and let's accept it. And then we need to choose the other one, this one, and we need to accept it as well. And now we can click on Next. And here they bring up an important point. For best emulator performance, the virtualization in the BIOS settings should be on. Usually, virtualization will be on by default, but you should make sure that it is on in your BIOS settings. Anyway, let's click on Finish. And everything is being downloaded and installed. It is going to take a few minutes, so I'll be back when it's done. Great, and the Android Studio installation is done. Let's click on Finish. And let's open a new project. There are all kinds of templates here, but I'm going to go with empty activity as it's probably the most simple option to get started with. We need to name our application. I call it Example App. We can give our application a package name, but I leave it as the default package name. And we should also set the path where the project will be saved. As for the language, we can either go with Kotlin or Java. I'll go with Kotlin. And the last option is the SDK that we're going to use. I'll go with the default. Let's now click on Finish. And the SDK we chose is being downloaded and installed. It is only has to be done because this is the first time we're using this SDK. And if we'll use this SDK in the future, we'll already have it. Okay, so it's done. Let's click on Finish. And our project is being created. Now, this is going to take a while. And as long as you see stuff going on here at the bottom of the screen, it means that Android Studio is doing all kinds of things. So it's best to wait and just give it its time. Great, so we took about 5 minutes or so, but it's finally done and our project is ready to use. First, let's minimize the assistant window. We don't really need it. Now, notice that we have two files here, the Kotlin file and an XML file. The XML file is in charge of the UI, how the application looks like. The Kotlin file is the logic behind this UI, the business logic of the application. By the way, you can find both of these files on the tree on the left. So here is the Kotlin file, and the XML file can be found in the res folder, in the layout subfolder, and here it is. Now notice that we already have an emulator of an Android device, and we can see it over here on this list. So Pixel 3a, that's the emulator that we started with, so let's choose it. And now we can run our application on this emulator. To do that, I'm going to click on the green play button, this one. And Android Studio will start the emulator, connect to it, and load the application to it so we can check it. So of course the application itself has to be built, and it takes a minute. Great, and the emulator is starting. And we can see the application on the emulator.